Hello everyone, welcome back to Maverick Mods. Working on the Firebird this week, still doing final assembly. Figured this week it's about time to see, first time in who knows how many, 20, what if you're 19, 20, 21 years, whatever it's been since the last time this car was on the road. First time the lights, all of them, worked, probably. So I'm going to get all the lights installed, get everything hooked up, hopefully get everything working. So grab your popcorn, let's get started. Continuing on with final assembly, I'm down to the point now where I can start thinking about making the lights work. Didn't really spend a whole lot of time on this up to this point because with the donor car late model Z28 wiring harness, I managed to save all of the bulbs and the connectors and the sockets and all that kind of stuff. Turns out that the sockets on the late model, on the 4th gen, they fit the housings on the 2nd gen, the taillights. All fine and good. Only problem is I got to figure out what goes where. So let's take a look. There is, oh, and the other thing I've got to do is, actually, that might work. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's just hang those there and take a look at what we got. So what I got here, I've got a marker light, which I think will work. I don't know if the bulbs are any good. I guess we'll find that out. I've got 1, 2, 3 sockets and bulbs. Over here, I've got a marker light, and I've got 1, 2, 3 sockets and bulbs. Inside the car, pardon the 2x4. Once I put the rear spoiler on, turns out that the trunk springs are not strong enough, even though I did buy the trunk springs that are supposed to be for the rear spoiler. Gonna have to come up with some alternate method to keep the deck lid open. Final details, final assembly details. Let me get a light. Now that I have a light, let's get in here and take a look. So what I've got with my housings is I have 1, 2, 3 places for the sockets. One of them's going to be easy. One of them's going to be the backup lights. The other two, I got to figure out what goes where and what does what. I think on my marker lights, I think that my sockets will probably interchange. We'll have to see on those. First things first, let's get some power on the car, figure out what lights work and what lights do what. Let's do that first. So what I've got here, I've got the just the parking lights on. And so this should be a tail light. That, of course, is the marker light. Over here, I've got a tail light. And I do not have a functioning marker light. So let's see if that's just a bulb or if there's something wrong with the wiring. So easiest way to do that, that's probably still probably hot already. Let's just take this bulb, put it in here. And it kind of works. It's thinking about it. I think I've got a bad socket. Let's see what we can do to kind of make that work. And if that's the case, maybe this bulb is good. And this bulb is not good. Okay. So let me work on this socket and see if I can get it back up. And now let's see if it's a wire, which it does not look to be. Or if it's just the, yeah, it's just the connectors inside the socket itself. They may just be a little bit loose. Might be able to get a pick in there and just kind of squeeze them together. Let's try that. All right, so let's see. See if we can work this in here and just kind of, whoa. Oh, you know what? I probably need to take power off of this thing. That might be a smarter way to do it. I don't want to be that electro boom guy. I've got my new end crimped onto the existing wire for the marker lights. Marker lights are working. Seems to be okay. So where I'm at, I've got marker lights and tail lights. Before I hook those up, though, I am going to do the low-hanging fruit and figure out which one of these two remaining ones are the backup lights, because I can just put those in and not have to worry about them, and the others then I can figure out. All right, so where are we at? So with the car in reverse, these two lights are the backup lights. I can go and hook those up now. All right, so we have backup lights. While I'm at it, I can probably go ahead and put the marker light in. On that side, I still have a tail light, which I'm pretty sure is going to be, before I get too all fired crazy, I also need to figure out the brake lights and the turn signal. So let's do that real quick. But I can go ahead and hook up this marker light while I'm at it. So we have functioning marker lights on both sides. All right, so there's my right turn signal. There's my left turn signal. There's my right turn signal. I think this is pretty easy. So let's take the tail light. There's one side. Now let's get the turn signal. Actually, let's do the tail light first. All right, so let's set this back here. Just go through the lights. All right, we already checked the backup lights. There's tail lights. Now I'm going to be able to see this, so I want you guys to tell me, do the brake lights come on? And we got left turn signal, and I got right turn signal. Back end of the car is pretty much lit up like it's supposed to be, with the exception of the license plate light. I know that that little light is floating around here somewhere. I just can't find it right now. You have to dig through some boxes and see if I can dig that up. But I'll get that hooked up as well. Back end of the car is done. Let's move forward to the headlights and the parking lights. Up front here, a little bit more involved. I've got everything I think I need from the donor car harness, but obviously the connectors were different. I'm also thinking that one of the issues I'm going to run across is I've got a single headlight on the Firebird, and I think the Z28 had dual headlights. Shouldn't be a problem. Just have to figure out which is the best way to wire it in. Let's start off again, low-hanging fruit. I don't have any bulbs in the front here. I've got some spare ones just to see if I've got the tail lights or the parking lights on. Let's see if the side marker light works, and it does. Okay, now the other question is all right, so we're good there. I've determined that the light green wire is high beams. The tan wire is low beams, so we got that figured out. I went and dug through the wiring diagram, and the purple wire here, this is for fog lamps, which we don't have. So these can just kind of get tucked back up in there. Obviously, we know that this is the side marker light, so all I got to figure out is the parking and turn signals. So here's the connector for the old one, and you know, sometimes you just got to love guys that do wiring in their whole career, which I don't, and I'm not an electron guy. But I've got a black wire, I've got a brown wire, and somewhere here, it's kind of hard to tell, one of these is blue, dark blue. Yep, right there, it's got a dark blue stripe. Okay. Here, I've got a black wire, I've got a brown wire, I got a blue wire. I'll bet you They all do the same thing. So I'm going to test that by finding my black wire here. Now, I do not advocate having these little wire nuts anywhere close to a car. But for this purpose, all I'm doing here is testing. This is temporary. So I hook the black to black. I'm going to hook brown to brown. I'm going to hook blue to the, well, this is the blue stripe. Yeah, blue stripe wire. There we go. Well, here I am talking about wire nuts, and I forgot to put one on there. That's just to keep me from shorting stuff out and blowing fuses, hopefully. All right, so there we go. I'm going to go turn the parking lights on. And of course, my side marker light's on. I'm going to test this by hooking up the actual parking light. Hold there. And lo and behold, we have a parking light. We check turn signal. Okay, we have a turn signal. All right, now I'm going to turn the parking light on as well. Just make sure all three of them work, or two of them. I guess that's two. And indeed it does. So I've got parking light, turn signal. I'll bet you the wiring is the same on the other side, so I'm not too worried about that. So obviously I got that figured out. Next, I will kind of tidy these wires up. I'm going to go ahead and splice these together, get my wire length runs correct, and work on, next we'll start working on splicing in the headlights, because I'm going from, it shouldn't be too terribly hard. I'm going from a 2 headlight setup, so separate high beam, separate low beam lights with these two, to a single light with the integrated high and low beams. And here's the connector for that. So what I should just be able to do is tie in the ground and each of the high beam and low beam, figure out which one is which, and should be able to kind of splice everything, kind of combine everything into one connector. So that'll be next. All right, where am I at? I need some cutters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these grounds and gang them together with the single wire ground on here. And let's go ahead and just cut both of those, since I don't need these connectors anymore. Okay, black wire with green stripe is low beam. And on this harness, the tan wire is low beam. So we'll hook those up. Now I know that you guys are saying, wait a minute, you're not putting shrink wrap on your wiring. And you're right. There's a method to my madness. I have found over the years that when I'm doing stuff like this, there's a good chance that before it's all said and done, I'll get something backwards or something doesn't work and I wind up having to redo it. And I hate to be this way, but if you start off, there we go, with the shrink wrap and everything, and it winds up being wrong, then you have to pull the shrink wrap back off. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this, make sure that everything's right, and then go back. I'll redo my connectors. And of course, I'm going to put my Alex Tech wrap over everything as well. Let me hook up a light and see if we've got headlights. All right, we're just kind of sitting there for now. You go ahead and turn the lights on, see what happens. Nothing. All right, I've got a high beam and I got no low beam. I'm going to go ahead and do the other harness, because sometimes there's a kind of a weird interconnect. Because I know I had power on the wires, but sometimes, you know, you get that weird thing where if one side isn't working, the other side does weird stuff. I'm going to try that, see what happens, and see if I can get both lights on. Well, I got a little conundrum. Got to figure out what's going on here. I had a low beam over there. No, I had no low beam and I had a high beam. Over here, when I hooked the harness up, I didn't have either. Swapped the bulb out, then I had a low beam but no high beam, which is kind of weird. So I've got the plug back out. I'm in the ground. I think the high beams are on right now, so let's just check it. I got nothing between ground and low beam, and I got 12 volts at high beam. Let's check this side. Okay, low beam, nothing. High beam. What's weird, I got 9 volts? That doesn't make any sense. Now, there we go. Okay, so I got 12 volts on both the high beam connections. Let's go back to low beam, see what happens. All right, let's try this again. This is all par for the course when you're playing with wiring harnesses. Hate to say it. All right, low beam. I got 12 volts, no bleed over to the high beam, so I'm good there. So this harness is, or this connector's right. Let's see what the other side does. And I got 12 volts. So I'm wired correctly. In theory, I should be able to plug this in. Okay, so I've got a light there. That should be a low beam. Let's try this one. Okay, I got a low beam there. I might just have some corrosion in the connection too. I mean, that's very possible. The connector's been sitting there for 55 years. Let me try high beams. And it went dead. But it might very well be that I just have a jinky connector. Yep, okay. See, and now I got a high beam. Okay, let's try the other side. Yep, okay. That looks like what's going on here. I think I've just got some corrosion in this connector. I just need to clean it up a little bit. Maybe throw some dielectric grease in there. And let me see if I can go ahead and clean this harness up a little bit. Oh, there was one last thing. I did some research on the wiring harness for the donor card, the Z28, the 4th gen. And I could not figure out for the life of me what this is. So everything else is connected. I've got my parking light, turn signal, got my headlights, I got my side marker light. This didn't make any sense. And this is got tape on it. It's almost like it was never used. Couldn't figure this out. Looked through the wiring diagram, and it's hard to tell, but I think that since the Camaro or the Z28 would share the harness with a Firebird of the same era, the Firebirds had pop-up headlights. I think this is the power to the pop-up headlight motor controller, which would mean on the Camaro, the Z28, it would not be used because it did not have pop-up headlights. I don't know otherwise, and I'm just, you know what, I'm just going to kind of wrap this up and hang this harness down there and just kind of leave it be. Let me see if I can't clean those connectors up and get some headlights on this thing. Well, guys, it's time to actually install the light fixtures. I have never actually seen these on the car. When we picked the car up, these were just kind of sitting off to the side. This is the bracket that the headlight mounts to, and this bracket mounts in here. It's got one mounting hole here, 2 at the bottom, corresponds with this little tab up here, and then it just, there's holes in the back of the bumper assembly itself. They're kind of hard to find, but once I got those figured out, and I do have an assembly manual. I don't have any of the original hardware, but I do have an assembly manual which shows basically these things just bolt in. And so that's what I'm going to do. I did figure out I need to take the, actually, I don't think I do. I don't know for certain if I need to take the actual headlight off or not. So we're going to try this. I don't remember. We're going to try this with it on. And if that doesn't work, then I'll take the headlight out of the assembly here. So just to keep from scratching the paint, we'll carefully slide this in. Just kind of sit it down there for now. All right. I installed the passenger side already, just so I'd kind of have a clue what I was doing. And it wasn't the easiest thing to do. Probably it's a lot easier to do this when the bumper is off the car, I guess, maybe. I'm not sure how the factory did it. Like I said, these holes here are a little bit hard to find because the lower valence sort of gets in the way. And I'm doing all this by feel. Okay, there's the two bottom ones. Once the headlight bucket's in, I cannot get to the bolt head on this. So that might be kind of interesting. But let's go ahead and pop this up. Kind of playing, I don't know if this would be Tetris or Jenga or whatever I'm playing inside of here to get everything to line up. What's holding me up? I'm being held up on something. There. Whoop. There we go. All right. Hope I didn't break anything. All right, let me get the nuts on it. And those are always fun because you got to reach up back behind here. Hey, that didn't go on. Why didn't you go on? Bracket is holding it up. Unfortunately, they don't give you a lot of room to get back here. And there's no, I can't reach down. I got no room for my arm up down here. My only access is back behind here. So we'll go ahead and tighten these up. Easier said than done, because one of the things I figured out, even with the light in place, I can't get to, there's no access to get to the bolt head behind here. So if it starts spinning, I can't tighten it up. Let's see how we do here. Okay, I got lucky on that one. Bottoms, I do know I've got to put my wrench these behind here. Again, doing this all by feel. Somehow I don't think there was a guy on the factory floor taking all this time to put these headlights in. I'm sure they had a faster, easier way to do it. Probably involved pre-assembling the bumper before the bumper was put on the car. Time to lay on the floor. It's not like I haven't done that before. So I can see what's up here. Okay. Headlights in. Now, to make sure everything's in right, but the heck was that? Oh. Now to make sure the headlight's in right, I'm going to put the trim ring in. Trim ring goes in like so. There we go. Now, carefully, just start each one of these a few turns. There we go. Just make sure I'm not binding on anything. It's always a good thing to check. There we go. All right. That headlight is not completely secure. I'm going to work on that. But like I said, I'm probably going to wind up replacing those with LEDs. I just haven't picked which ones yet. So we can't consider this to be completely finished yet. Okay, I think it needs a little bit more there. That feels, I think that's there. Okay, let me get the other side in and we'll take a look at the whole thing. Well, there it is, guys. Front of the car is, with the exception of the emblem on the top of the bumper there, which I'm not going to put on until after the final polishing. Front of the car is assembled. So there's lights, grill, everything's there. It's looking better. Still got a few things to go. Still dirty. I need to wash it again. And one last look at the back of the car with the spoilers on, tail lights in. All the lights work except for kind of jinky on the headlights. But again, I'm still working on that. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here on the Firebird? Well, the countdown to the final move is the clock's ticking and it's coming up fast. At this point, well, the day I'm recording this, probably, what is it, 12 days, I think. Still got some stuff in the shop I've got to button up. A whole lot in the house that needs to be buttoned up before everything's ready for the final move up north. Of course, when I get up there, the new shop is not finished yet. So it's going to be a little bit of a gap between now and when I can resume working on the Firebird to finish up what needs to be done on that. What needs to be done? So the car is drivable. It does have a power steering fluid leak, which popped up recently. Have not had time to look at it. I don't know what's going on with that yet. Haven't even had the time. It's got lights enough to drive. It's registered, plated, insured, legal to be on the roads. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Now it's time for test drives and final tweaking, which there's going to be quite a bit of that. I've got a few things on the interior left that need to be done and that I want to do. More on that when the time comes. And then all the little tiny things that will need to be tweaked and twisted and finished up to make the car really truly roadworthy and perfect. But for now, the car is going to have to go in storage until I can get back to it. And hopefully it won't be too long. So that's where the car sits. Beyond that, that's it for this week. I pretty much, exterior of the car, other than final polishing, is pretty much there. It's always going to be a little something I'm going to find. And that's just because I'm a perfectionist. But that's my burden to carry. A little further update on how things are going. I recorded that last Firebird work session not quite a month ago, and we have made the final move. Since then, we are completely moved up into the new digs now. The Firebird is in storage and will stay there until the new shop is complete. It's raining right now. Otherwise, we'd walk around and take a look and see the progress on that. I'll throw in an update as that progresses as well. So that's kind of where we're sitting. Hopefully we'll get back to the Firebird soon. I just don't have a particular, time frame yet that I can tell you guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in every week and following along on all the projects and everything the projects I seem to acquire and put upon myself. I enjoy all of it, and I really hope you guys do too. Please like, share, subscribe, notify, blah, blah, blah. You guys know the drill. It actually does help. We'll see you next week. Everybody, have a great day.